And we are live.
Excellent.
Guys, welcome to the Dead Hedgehogs podcast. My name is Chris Gavgan. That is Stephen Kelly.
It is me.
It is
these when the intros to these YouTube lives and even the Instagram lives, they always catch me out because you think there's a bit of a delay. But there isn't actually. So anyone that's listening, will you let us know that the
sound is good and that we're looking good.
Yeah, we've thought we'd brighten it up a little bit today. Usually it looks bright on our screen which is here, and then when we go to upload it turns very dark. So
we're not uploading, so typically we're just we're just basically chatting. We're going live, so there's YouTube compresses everything.
Yeah,
that makes it darker, and it's a bit of a pain. Vinny Flaherty, right? Known this man a long time.
Okay.
Well, can I tell you a story? He unbelievably he does. I'll tell you something funny, right? I was in Sligo a couple of weeks ago. I was giving a friend a lift to the hospital.
Yeah.
So I was like, do you know what? While I'm doing, I'm going to tip down. I'll sit in the car. I'll drive down to the car park of the Mall.
Mm-hmm.
So I drove down 200 cars in the car park. There's loads of spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So I parked up on the hill. No problem. No different. I'm sitting
just
there.
Monkey faces. What's that about?
I'm sitting there, right? And I don't really I'm not just sitting around and nothing's happening. I get a bump. And I'm like, that's weird. Look out the back window. There's a car pressed up against my car.
Oh, yes. You told me this.
And I'm like, what the fuck? And I get out of the car, and there's no one in the car that's rolled down the hill. And a ghost driver. So I'm sitting there and like, what the fuck type of luck am I having? So obviously the handbrake has failed, and the car's rolled down the hill and bumped came to a stop. It didn't come that far, or didn't do any major damage. I'm on the phone to the guards, and who walks up? Vinny Flaherty.
Okay.
And he's like, what's the crack? And I'm on the phone to the guards going, yeah, I don't know what's happened. So I try to explain that. No.
Sorry.
It was just he's just walking. I was
waiting for you to say that it was Vinny's car.
I wish it was, because he would have just tipped off. But like, I was like standing there like a muppet trying to figure, because if I drove away, the car would have just kept on going down the hill.
Of course.
So I was like, yeah. So Vinny found me in a pretty flustered and unique type of mood.
That's very unusual for you, Chris. Usually you're very level-headed.
Chilled.
How are you getting on, Liam? Are you well? What is the crack? And Shannon, sound is good. The colouring is a little vintage, yellow hue.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
We're still working.
The dark version or this version?
Yeah, this is a little brighter. We're
brighter. I like the vintage. There's nothing wrong with a bit of vintage. Yeah. You know, I like the old type top shelf magazines, the ones with the. I'm not even going to say it.
Yeah, so you were uploading porn.
You'll never guess. Porn. It wasn't my porn.
You sure?
I don't have any porn.
That's the most asked question in this chat.
I don't have any porn. What happened was Kent says this version. Cheers, Kent. What happened was that someone, just as I was about to upload the story onto Instagram, someone sent to a WhatsApp group like an 18-second clip of like proper, like not a video that you put up on Instagram, and if you put it up, it would definitely get your page banned. And I'm pretty much teetering on that as it is. So let's just say there was I'll just say that there was a feline aspect to it.
Yes.
Anyways,
there might have been meowing.
Enough of the chit chat.
Yes.
We thought we'd talk about the events that happened last week, and if you're watching this, please get involved in the chat, and we'll have a right discussion and an insight into it.
We'll start with the middle of the week, and we'll start with the riots.
Yeah.
Because you were here.
I was here.
And I was in Dublin.
Oh, that's right. You were in Dublin.
Sure was.
That is correct. I forgot about that. Was Thursday, right?
That was Thursday. I was in Dublin Wednesday,
Thursday, middle of the week.
Well, it's
you know what? You're right.
Yeah. Wednesday and Thursday, the halfway point is midnight.
Yeah. Okay. You're right.
So it's 3.5 days. So, I was there I was in Dublin for a couple of days with trying to drum up a bit of work and doing a few bits and pieces. I was at a couple of gigs.
Yeah.
I was at 2 gigs.
Queens of Stone Age.
Queens of Stone Age in the Point. That was very good crack. And then it all kicked off on Thursday.
Yeah.
And you got a bit of heat for something that you said in a video.
I did. Do you know what? And I wouldn't mind, but I told people that day, or told a couple of people that day, that I was going to take a little bit of a break from social media, and definitely not going to get involved. Just going to leave the page to settle for a few days and come up with like new stuff and write the new show.
And then stuff in Dublin happened.
And of course the patriotic fatherism came out in me.
Yeah.
And I made a video. And would I make the same video again? I would make the same video again, which just might change my tone, and I would maybe have explained what I explained a little bit
more
better.
Succinct.
Yeah, more succinct. I was high.
Yeah,
I was high.
I think that it was a very strange day.
It was a very strange day and
very upsetting.
The use of words and not just mine, but other people's as well at the time. Even the likes of Conor McGregor, he got involved and he got himself an awful bother. But emotions were high. And they're still high.
Emotions
were
high.
Now, some people used emotions and made a mockery of the events itself, in my opinion, up in Dublin more so with the riots. But we'll talk about that in a few minutes.
So, for anyone that isn't from Ireland or might not know, there was a child stabbed, and that was obviously very distressed. 3 children stabbed, and their care assistant,
or I think there was 2 people stabbed.
Teaching assistant.
One of them seriously, and their teacher.
So and obviously the news of that broke, and that was obviously very distressing because obviously you're a father, and like I'm an uncle, and like obviously like anyone everyone knows kids and has families and stuff, that any child in Ireland shouldn't be in any danger when they're just going to school.
Well, there shouldn't be in any danger
at all,
any circumstance.
Yeah, of course.
But the thing is as well that the events that transpired after that sort of took away the attention that should have been on the kids' recovery and the thoughts being with the kids. And I don't even since then, I do not think that it has been brought up enough.
Yeah,
and I know that on the news and the media, there is very little, and there was very little information.
Well, there's a few things at play with that. It's like the information that you broadcast could basically screw up a case. So like no matter who you are or what you've done, you have the right in our constitution to a fair, unbiased trial.
Yeah.
And the media can screw that up by the way they report something.
I understand that, but also on the flip side of that, when you have no information coming through, people then what happens then is they make up their own minds.
Well, what happens then is nefarious actors in society can seize on that lack of information, and they can make up their own story, which incited the riots.
Yes, of course.
Like, and that part of it is very, very there's a lot of things that can be like, especially social media. Like, I was in a pub. I actually had a brilliant evening.
Yeah, you were saying that.
I had such a great evening.
You said it was surreal.
It was so surreal. Like I went out to an amazing restaurant. We had food in a place called Mama Yo's. So one of the best meals I had in ages. It was amazing. The setting was class and all. Then at that stage, I didn't have a clue what was kicking off. I didn't even know that there was a child stabbed.
Yeah.
Because all day I had been working, went to dinner, just going about a normal day. Didn't even look at my phone, didn't look at the news. And then I got a notification that there was a child stabbed probably 7 o'clock in the evening. We were already in the pub. So we were in Devitt's on Camden Street. It had a brilliant night. And then the next thing you start seeing it all kick off 5 minutes up the road.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so surreal because you're looking at the phone and you're like, it's a riot, it'll quiet itself down. And you see the attacks on the guards.
Yeah.
Which is what kicked off
which
the
made
riot.
no sense at all, in my opinion.
Well, I suppose with it makes no sense, but there is a sense.
But it also, I tell you what, it highlighted how badly the guards are equipped. Maybe not through 100%. Any fault of their own.
100%.
And how outnumbered they are. So poorly manned. Yeah.
But that's a problem that this government has been.
Yeah.
They can't attract people into the guards. Poorly paid. The hours are terrible.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to get more hours out of the guards. The commissioner has no mandate for control. The guards are almost in open revolt against Drew Harris.
Yeah.
And Helen McEntee,
who apparently, I didn't actually watch it, was absolutely atrocious on, I know it was a prime time or one of them talk shows that night.
They've got no mandate for power at this stage.
Very weak government. And that's what it boils down to. And that's who I was having a pop at my video as well, that these measures should have been put in like 20 years ago to not, obviously you're going to have fear on the ground. There's especially and remember Dublin, everyone thinks down the country that Dublin is massive. Dublin is not.
I lived there for 10 years. I know exactly. I know every corner of this place.
It's a very easy city to know.
It's the where the riots happened, like, is a traditionally inner city.
Yeah. But you're never going to get them riots out in Blackrock or Dunleary or Howth.
Again, and you can't incite those riots. You can't incite those riots because out in Howth or out in so obviously there is a much larger number of immigrants. Housing is an issue, stuff like that. All of these problems, these aren't issues that that the upper echelons of society actually deal with on a day-to-day basis.
So it's easy for them to dismiss them.
So this is why these communities are easily incited to the point that we're talking about. Like, the other side of it is that we walked down from the point where the Katie Taylor fight was, we walked from there down to our friend's apartment, and I swear to God, it's almost like walking down the Hudson River now.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is
glossy,
beautiful.
glass buildings. It's totally different.
Dublin could be such and it is a brilliant city.
But that was all a working class place, and that was like when you see all this wealth being created, the buildings are glossy and new, and your community is almost falling apart. It's almost impossible to live in the city because the money it takes to live in the city is so high.
Yeah.
And the type of wages that are traditionally in those communities are not very high. The crime is crime rate is massive. So you're seeing all this go on. That's a breeding ground for incitement by some very heavy right-wing think groups, these the Nigel Farages of the world that's in Ireland.
Yeah, which I was accused of being the Irish version of On the Night, which couldn't be any further from the truth.
Yeah,
people that thought that obviously didn't watch the entire video, or did worse.
Right, but like the words you used at the start of the video, would be the words that would be used by.
Well, I know, but for anyone that knows me, and I know that a lot of people, it blew up. Shannon, thanks very much. Yeah, she said we looked very well. We'll get through a few of these. Is that column spelt?
Column.
I have never seen it spelt like that. I thought it was very clear, concise, and thoughtful and honest. It was definitely clear,
definitely honest,
and it was definitely honest. Maybe I wouldn't have used the words that I used. I would have been, and the thing is, I done another video the next night, sort of to address it and to explain it a little bit better, and that's actually on the highlights of the Instagram page, or it's on TikTok and it's on Twitter. Funny enough, I put the two videos up on Twitter, and usually Twitter, if there was anything wrong with it was kind enough to me.
Yeah,
it was very kind. Instagram, whatever the hell went down. Usually Instagram.
Well, they're different age demographics as well. Like,
True. So the events didn't take away from the kids' recovery. Oh yeah, well obviously the media decided that, and our government and the media focused on other things which really angered people. Yes, that's a point I was trying to make as well.
It's very it's a really difficult situation to be. It's a very difficult situation to be in, though. If you're a broadcaster, what else can you say about a man that's gone rogue and stabbing a child?
See, the thing about it as well is the way social media is, and with people with their phones and people on the ground, rumors get around and people make up their own minds. So there has to be a clear, concise message, and we didn't get that, and we it's very rarely that we do. And then people start going into this idea that the government are stopping the media from saying it. Whether they are, whether they aren't, I don't know.
But at the same time,
I have my suspicions.
There's clear rules that the media have to abide by when they're reporting something, and reporting on something that's so cut and dry can still have massive detrimental effects when it comes to prosecution.
Yeah.
And I can understand if you look at the way that Irish media law is set up, why they wouldn't be over reporting on it, because at the end of the day, there's a child fighting for a life. There's a teacher fighting for their life.
And of course, you'll hear rumors like that. I'm getting messages all the time.
And that's where does social media the social media was ablaze with this a lot of really poor rhetoric, and it was awash with it, and it's incited on Twitter.
Yeah,
because there's no regulation.
Yeah,
where the media have to be regulated.
Well, yeah, I understand.
Otherwise, we're getting propaganda. It's a crazy concoction of things that happened at one time,
Yeah, but again, we'll just get on to the rioters as well, actually, and what they done at the aftermath of that. And before I skip on from that, I just want to say that, thoughts and prayers, if you're religious, are with the people that are recovering from this, and that's the main thing of all of this.
Yeah, that child is the most important person.
Yeah,
and props to the handful of people that stopped that man.
Yeah, of course.
Like that Brazilian guy that stopped his moped or whatever.
Correct. There was an Irish man as well. But that's another thing.
There was a French lad in there.
There was an Irish woman.
Yeah, her story is amazing because she was at the inquest for the Stardust inquiry. Unbelievable, obviously this is very heavy stuff.
Yeah, this is very heavy. So this is probably the heaviest podcast that we've done, and probably the most sensitive one. But again, a lot of people said that the media chose to put the Brazilian man, and fair play to the Brazilian man.
He jumped off a bike and used his helmet to stop that guy. Unbelievable.
So then they used the fact that the others weren't mentioned. That they used that to say that, why aren't it's the media driven story, and you could take that up as well, because that's the story that they wanted to put forward.
Yeah, but again, who's putting out that stuff on social media, and why are they doing it? And to be honest, that trying to take away is, again, them. That's easy fodder for far right activists to go after, to try and that you can make something out of nothing on it. The context of it is
you can, but you have to admit that there was no mention of the Irish people on it, or even the French lad on it. It was about the Brazilian, and fair play to the Brazilian as well. I'm not taking that away from him. Ricky says, Helen McEntee, nepotism at its finest, took Daddy's job after he did.
Yeah,
and it's a lot. It happens a lot
but Helen McEntee is under pressure because they have not been able to make significant inroads into increasing Garda numbers. They've missed their targets for 4 years in a row, and it's not good enough that there's almost as many guards leaving the force as there is being brought into it. This year they had a target of 1,000 guards coming into the force, and there's 800. That means that we're going to be in a deficit, and that's just not good enough.
Yeah.
And like the guards that are there, the morale is really low.
It is very low. I've talked to many Gardaí, especially after live shows and that, and especially up in Dublin. They're like, why would you even police the streets of Dublin these days?
It's shocking. I'm
not just and in the video I made out as well that it like all immigrants or asylum seekers or refugees are bad. In fact, the majority, I'm sure, are good, but there is an underlying fear and anger amongst Irish people, not just in Dublin. But what's happening is there's asylum seekers in, and they're getting huge money, and they're getting houses.
They're not though.
I've been chatting to a lot of people in the civil service, and we'll say they're in the dole or the social welfare, and they'll beg to differ.
Yeah, there's asylum seekers
in Finland. If they're not in a job in 4 months or something like that, they get.
But in Ireland, they don't have the option for that. They at the end of the day, Ireland has. I work in staffing. I work in recruitment. You can't get enough people in the door to work. So this idea that these people don't want to work is nonsense. If they've got skills, Ireland needs them. Ireland has
people are coming in that have no skills.
Yeah,
absolutely. If none. They're here because it's an easy. It is an easy.
That I don't know. I don't think it's that as any easier to get into Ireland than
and we're known as the last stop in Europe because if we don't take immigrants in, and I'm not saying but I think we've taken in our fair share. And if there's a genuine case, well then 100%. But if we stop taking them in, then Europe, and this is what I don't get, that Europe stops money from coming in to,
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know if we're under that type of pressure to go from there. Either way, like Ireland has so much work on.
Mm-hmm.
There's so my problem is I don't have enough staff to fill the jobs I have.
Yeah.
So and I know every recruiter out there has the same problem. Everyone in staffing across Ireland. So Chris, if I want to retire in Ireland, I need 100 grand a year. Yeah, there's a problem with that's a different issue, like how expensive the country is.
Yeah.
But that's not an immigrant's fault.
It's not, but also
we're
spending a lot of money on people coming into the country that don't. And I'm not saying I'm afraid to say what I want to say. To a certain degree, there's a huge amount of money being afforded to the immigration problem when our own people, or when Irish people, or people, not just Irish people, but even English, American, and European, and from all across the world have been here for 10, 15 years, contributing to society, and then they're left with nothing.
I don't know. It's that's a real rabbit hole, because at the end of the day, I think the idea that we're bringing in so many immigrants and people are just scrounging off the dole, that's not Ireland's problem. Ireland's Ireland's problem is banks, free money out of them, not a non-effective tax system, the poor amount of housing that the government is providing.
And this is just,
but like the immigration is a symptom, not a obviously the countries, Ireland as a country in 15 or 18 years has 1 million more people in it, but majority of them are not asylum seekers. Majority of them are from skilled workers coming from different countries, which, because we have missed target after target in housing, has put massive pressure on.
This argument was made 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Nothing has changed, and I don't think it's going to change in the next.
But that's a government issue.
Well, of course, it's a government issue.
Yeah, and you only change that through Irish people being at the ballot box, which Irish people won't.
Yeah, well, that's another thing that I hope changes as well. But then again, who do we vote for? Who do we vote for?
Yeah, well,
and I would have been leaning towards Sinn Féin over the last few years, but even their policy seems to be um, a little bit askew at the minute as well. So then you have a couple of brilliant independents.
Yeah, but it's easy to be an independent.
I don't think it is.
It's easier. It's easier when it comes to policy.
Go back to Shannon's comment there. Can you go back?
Yeah, morale is low in many places in public and private sector.
No, not that one. She went. And we get back to that one again. Brazilian lad's nationality was important, but not the attacker. You need reporting to be balanced. Correct, Colin. Kent agreed. Shannon. I don't know what that was about.
You made the video in the moment is more real. The video you made in the moment is more
realistic, and you have a platform where you have to filter your thoughts, but you shouldn't apologize for them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Correct.
But I think at the end of the day, what you consume is why you like. Two things. There's two polarities here because I was in Dublin and I was having a great night.
Yeah,
you were here and you were consuming the media that was going on.
That is correct.
It was actually more. You were having a harder time than me, and I was in the fucking city. That was
is true. And obviously, I made the video as well. And I don't want to make it about my video that I made either, or the video that I made on the
like. That's important. Like,
it is important because I got a lot of heat over it, and there was no chat. I didn't even bother getting back to some of them because there was no arguing with them. It was just a waste of time. They were there for blood, and there's no trying to reason with some people. And people were accusing me of being right wing. I am certainly not right wing. I am maybe right of centre a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm not right wing, but I want right for Ireland, basically, and right for my kids as well. I also a lot of them videos that I do like that would be as a father and a genuinely concerned father of kids that is growing up in an Ireland.
I understand that. Like, do you think that though do you think because of that fear for your kids, you are more susceptible to more nefarious forces that are going to say that Ireland is unsafe? Now I know obviously it was in the midst.
Since then I've in reflection, would I have done such a heated video? No, but I would have, and I said that at the beginning. The comments are coming in very quick here. We're nearly. You go up there. Would I have done it the way I would have done it in a different tone, and I would have probably used a few different words, but the message would have been quite similar. There, in my opinion, that we have let an awful lot of people into the country, and some of them are fantastic. At the minute, there is a fear that we're letting in an awful lot of 18 to 50-year-old adult males that come with no passports. They're not checked. They don't know what history, and suddenly something happens. And I said this when it started to happen, that all it'll take is one or two incidents before the shit hits the fan. And even hold on, Chris.
Yeah.
Even before that fella was announced that he was Algerian and 20 years, that didn't matter. The perception alone that he was a foreigner was enough to send absolute mayhem through the cities and around the country. But the perception alone. So that just shows you that
I understand that part. But like what I'm saying is, and I'm not trying to cut you off here because I think it's really interesting stuff because me and you look at it differently in a way. I agree that anyone that comes into the country should be checked for a criminal background. I believe that they should have a clean bill of health when it comes to their health and simple stuff like that. But I know that in this country, 18 to 50-year-old Irish men are more likely to be unemployed.
Because there's a massive majority at the minute.
Yeah. But like
at the minute,
if you look at the
and you can also say that the reason that there is no jobs for them, that maybe mightn't be the brightest or most skillful of people, that they're being taken by people coming into the country.
But hold on, the
majority, and I know that's
the vast majority of people that have come into the country are skilled workers.
I don't. So I don't agree with you there at all, Chris.
I'll show at you. All. I'm whether you like it or not. That is like you can't live in Dublin. You cannot live in Dublin if you're an immigrant without being able to get a job that pays you 40 grand.
But sure, they're on the streets. We've been in Dublin. I've talked to people on the streets. I've talked to people working in social welfare. They're messaging the pages all the time saying that they're sick of paying out €600 a week to people, to 18 to 20 to 50-year-old adults. And they're not even looking for work. So
there's a lot of comments. Sorry, guys. We'll get back to
the comments because it is getting a little heated here.
No, it's not. Like I said, like I know from what I know what it takes to live in Dublin. I know how expensive it is to live in Dublin, and I know that there's with refugees there's different rules they have to go through. A lot of them will be on like if they're going into a refugee center, they don't make money. They don't make the dole. It's not like they just give them the dole to live off. They're going into a system, refugees.
But they're also if you'll make money on the dole if you've nothing to pay for. If you don't have to pay for a rent, your accommodation.
But a lot of these guys will be in direct provision.
The
equivalent
of direct provision. which is not good. But yes, of course, and I don't agree with direct provision at all.
Yeah,
that's not the answer either. But there's an awful lot of people that aren't on direct provision, and they're coming into the country. And like I said, genuine cases and people that want to make a good life for themselves and a better start, they're more than welcome. And of course, you're not going to stop absolutely every single person that comes in with ulterior motives. I mean, that's going to be impossible. But I think there has to be a measure put in place to stop more at the more and more, or as many as we can.
Yeah,
which there doesn't seem to be.
But the stuff like that without adequate policing, it'll never be able to be done.
Yeah, well, that's what we need. We need adult policing. We need, this is from the top. We need to go through this, and it's not like it might be too late for what's happened this week, but it's not too late for future generations. So, but again, we have a very weak, in my opinion, a very weak government, which as I said before, I'm surprised at. The likes of Leo Varadkar, I was never a Fine Gaeler, but when I heard him speak before he got into power, I thought this man could actually be the answer to Ireland's problems. By fuck, I was wrong.
Well, that I'm glad that we both know.
Well, we'll definitely both agree on that.
We'll go through some of the comments and just see. Like, won't get to all of them, but yourself. Okay, let's start with where am I hiring and what are you paying? Put yourself in the shoes of a person you're trying to hire. I do. I talk anyone that I am working with to get a job or stuff like that.
From Colin.
I do put myself in their shoes and I talk very openly and candidly about how they're financing and if that's going to work for them. Like, one thing about recruitment as a job is that you do get a good sense of where the struggles are.
Yeah.
So, it goes from there.
Go back to Ricky's message there about the Dole Center. It didn't make quite sense. This one here.
Okay, Dole Center, you'll see who's queuing there. I know many people are working there. Yeah, but at the same time, the people.
Does he mean that they're mostly paddies, or there's?
No, I'd say that he's saying that it's not.
Okay.
But like,
I'm not saying that every Irishman isn't on the dole either. Of course, we have our own problems. We have a generation of absolute fucking useless cunts.
Yeah, but like they're very it's a very small proportion of people nowadays that are on the dole.
Yeah, well, you'd like to think so.
Like we're almost at full employment. That's where my struggles come in because no one's applying for a job.
Sorry, Chris said it wrong. I have researched moving and living in Ireland for retirement. Your government requires 100,000 provable income.
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah.
I never thought that.
Yeah,
I thought
of
Ireland
course.
was from Kent is an American. I thought Americans can just move over.
No, far from it.
No way.
No, they're like it's.
I did not realize that, Kent.
I'm
shocked at that.
Much deeper. Like anything like the visa system in Ireland has some serious restraints.
So an American cannot come over here.
No,
and just
live. That's not the way it works. Like.
But yet, you see, this is my
well,
other point.
I'll tell you,
people, refugees or asylum seekers can come over and live as long as they want.
Well, they're
sense.
But they're either escaping some sort of poverty or war.
Or yeah, I'm sure many of them are, but there's many of them that are somehow getting.
Ireland sent hundreds of millions of people away because of poverty.
We did, but we didn't get everything handed to us.
Yeah, but
that's the difference.
It's
different. That is 100% the difference. But we've been like that from the beginning. And that argument about immigrants, you can't be Irish and be racist. None of us are racist. What we're worried about is what's happening in our own country.
But
let me just clarify that we had to send many people, and a lot of it wasn't our own fault, as is what's happening here.
But anyone that's fleeing their own country, it's never their fault.
Well, I understand that too, but we didn't get it easy.
Ireland, yeah,
we didn't get as easy as what's happening here.
We should have some sympathy for them.
Yeah, well, we have sympathy for them, but the genuine cases. But what I'm saying is that a lot of them that are coming in, or not a lot of them, but many of them that are coming in, which would be the same as a lot. Unfortunately, there's people coming in that aren't checked, aren't vetted, and they've ulterior motives.
Yeah, and if that,
and I know the man that carried out the attacks.
He's here 20 years.
20 years, but he was also
the
fellow
that attacked Ashling Murphy had been here years and years and years.
But the two of them had previous altercations or had came up to the attention of the guards previously.
Yeah,
if that was in America, do you think you'd be let away?
Yes.
No, you wouldn't be let away.
If they didn't have something to charge them with, they'd be let away. And America has their own problems with crime.
The man that carried out the attack the last day was meant to be deported. He was put on the list to be deported, and then he slipped through the cracks.
Which happens in every country. The bombers in Boston, they were supposed to be deported too.
Yeah, well,
every country has
a much
flaws.
bigger country too. I know that, and I'm looking for I'm imagining a perfect euphoria or utopia.
Yeah,
and I know that's not going to happen. I mean, that's unrealistic. Go to, but it would be nice to get as close to it as possible. Yeah. Avanza, it's every country's government's responsibility to keep their citizens safe. So allowing unvetted immigrants is putting the country's citizens at risk, and therefore 100% responsible. Yes, Avanza, and Avanza is from South Africa.
Yeah, like that. I agree, but like when you can't replace the police that are leaving
again, it is government's responsibility.
100%, and the idea that majority, but there is a trope out there, and it's easily turned that the majority of people that are coming in here are here for an easy ride. I don't believe that's the truth. I don't think that people come to this country knowing how expensive it is, knowing like
Chris, they come to this country and they've been coming not just in the last 5 years, but the last 20 years. They've been coming to this country because it's an easy fucking touch.
It's so expensive, Stephen.
Not when everything is getting paid for you, Chris. You're not understanding that.
I agree that part.
I can show you the messages.
Messages, but they're all not just people.
All right, okay, but from my own experience.
Yeah.
From my own experience, I can tell you that there's people coming into this country that are getting their dole, that they're getting their rent, that they're getting their electricity.
But there's so many Irish people doing the same.
No other country does that.
There's so many Irish people doing the same.
But you said a few minutes ago we were in full employment.
We are, and yet we have a country. We have many more Irish people getting the same treatment. The whole point of a just society,
as we are in Ireland, I would expect that
a just society doesn't put Irish people first. Why are you so special? or me.
I'm not on the dole.
I know, but my idea is that if we want a fair society, we can't treat Irish people better than people that come into the country. The whole idea is to
but
try
what's
and
happening
give a
is
fair society.
the people that are coming into the country are getting treated better. There's no, they don't have to go through any of the loopholes that an Irish person does.
I don't know. I think it's
Well, I can tell you that
muchness.
They don't even need a passport.
The whole point of having passports are discarded because of fear of being put back to a country that they might not. Well,
there's definitely
where their life might be a threat.
Here, and we are a very, very small.
We're not a special country when it comes to immigration.
But we seem to be, because I can nearly put money on it that we, by head of population, we've taken in a lot more than a lot of countries.
What type of society do you want to be? Do you want to be like the Brits and have Suella Braverman have put together?
I tell you what, I want a fair society is what I want, and I think we've been honestly fair enough, and we're a very, very generous country.
I don't think we're generous at all.
I think we're above.
I think Irish people show the reason that there was riots is because we're not a generous country. We're a country of haves and have-nots, fact, and we have a very divided society on how things look. There's a lot of fear mongering on
there's
stuff like
there's genuine fear, but I don't agree with inciting riots either. But we haven't even talked about the rioters yet. And I want to get onto that fairly quickly.
Do that. Oh, no, good on. Yeah, so the ones that, like, again, they were whipped up by nefarious right-wing forces as well, though.
So anyway, sorry, what did you say there? I was just reading some of the comments. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Plenty of Irish gain the system in countries
all over the world. 100%.
I don't think as much as here.
There's plenty of Irish that have gone over on a 3-month, 90-day holiday visa to America.
Yes.
Overstayed their visa. They might be paying tax, but they're not playing by the rules. I know people that have done that.
Of course, and we do that. We do that here as well.
And
in our own country.
You're complaining about people coming in undocumented. That's undocumentation too.
That is 100%. But we're also, if we were caught, or if we got into
kicked
trouble,
out,
we'd be kicked out straight away.
And this country's doing the same.
It doesn't seem to be.
Well, the manpower should be better,
Kieran, be nice to people in need, 110%, but don't be a fool to a grifter. I presume a grifter is.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't want us taken advantage of, but I think that there's a lot of, I think it's easily whipped up that we're under more pressure than we are.
What does Morris say from the Long Acre? Classified the difference for people being working immigrants, contributing to society, and economic migrants here scabbing. Yeah, well, that's kind of my point.
Yeah, but also how can you test that?
That's my point.
How can you test that at the point of entry?
There has to be a way.
There is no way. How do you know someone's going to contribute to society or not?
Well, there has to be background checks.
What?
There has to be some sort of background checks.
You want to check their employment
so your
history.
answer is let everyone in.
No, I'm not saying
that's
that.
The other alternative.
No, I'm saying that you need to have, if they have a clean criminal history.
Yeah, but that's not even being checked, Chris.
I understand that. That's a failure of government.
Yeah, well, of course it's a failure of government, and that's my main point.
But what I'm saying is, like, economic migrants that are scabbing the system, that what you... If they work hard in their own country?
No, it's not about that, actually. Well, I mean, yes. If you were going for a job and you landed with a CV that had nothing on its work, would you get the job?
No,
you wouldn't. Not. And another thing is, another point I was going to make there is, like in Finland, if you haven't made some attempt, if you're eligible for work, if you haven't made some attempt to find work or get a job, you're turfed out after 4 months.
But yeah, and I agree that there has to be a mechanism for that too. But what I'm saying is, if you've crossed Africa on the back of a camel, and you jumped on and you swam across to Gibraltar and jumped on the back of a lorry. It took you 6 days. You're the likes of Francis Ngannou, so where you went from digging sand, like,
obviously as
and
well.
then you end up in
I
Ireland.
understand that there's an awful lot of people in very bad situations throughout the world, in Europe, North Africa.
But what I'm saying
is, Far East, in the Middle East,
there's no test for who's going to be a good entrant or not. It's apart from criminal history.
Then when they come in, there's no monitoring of these people either.
What do you want people monitored in this country? Big Brother stuff is fucking more dangerous to Irish people than it is to immigrants.
We're monitored, and we're going to be further monitored. But obviously, there's a fine line between Big Brother stuff and even just regular updates. I'm not saying that there has to be cameras on people all the time, but I think definitely you have to prove that you're contributing to society.
Yeah, I agree,
because we do.
Yeah, like Positive Energy, reach out to me on the Instagram page, and we can chat there if you're looking for a job. See what I can help you with. No problem. Well, all who came through USA went through Ellis Island. Yeah, look, that's true. That was a system that was back 100 years ago. It's
150 years ago.
Yeah,
actually.
Ireland is so small, 5 million people. The population in some cities mind the whole country. Government can't handle numbers and problems that come over foreign nationals. Yeah, there's problems. Clearly problems. I'm not doubting that there is. I'm not saying that there isn't. I'm just saying that. And I think there is big issues. I think there's big issues around housing and employment and making sure that people that come into this country are contributing to society. I'm not against any of that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that some of the stuff that we have to, like, I think some of the stuff are overblown because social media would teach you that way. And maybe that I'm naive there, but I don't believe that. Like, at the end of the day, the reasons these riots, and we'll go on to the riots now.
Yeah.
The reason these riots is because those are the communities that these foreign nationals go into.
Yeah.
And they have to deal with them. And if you live in a city like Dublin, which has gone out of control when it comes to the money that's being spent, the money that's being evaded in other countries, tax system that's broken, you've got all these beautiful glossy buildings coming up all over the place. And you're looking at your community in the city centre of Dublin.
Well, there's obviously a massive
and it's
frustration.
dying because of unemployment, or it's dying because of crime and just the lack of lawlessness in general. Then
just go back to
like obviously these people are primed to. I'll go.
Yeah.
All of these people are primed to be that one. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ireland is and read the next few, and then we'll go on to the writers. Ireland, Shannon is American as well.
Okay.
Ireland is so small, 5 million people in population in some cities, never mind a whole country. Government can't handle the numbers and the problem that come up with foreign nationals. 100%. It's like
they can't handle the problem. They can't even
with their own
nationals.
Never mind foreign nationals.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm making it sound like I'm like hate foreign nationals. I love foreign nationals.
I know what you mean. We can talk about it and we can be candid and honest.
Yeah.
And these are conversations that have to be had in a fair and open way. And we could talk. We're at this for an hour, and we could talk.
We already have an hour and 5 minutes,
and we could talk all night. We've got all night to discuss this. This is the way these should be discussed.
Yeah.
But like. And
as Kent says, gotta love healthy banter, and that's what it is. We've two different.
I'm trying to learn. You're trying to learn.
Exactly.
We're trying to figure it out.
We're not gonna fix the world's problems or Ireland's problems here on this podcast, but we want to try and understand it a bit better, and maybe the people that are watching understand a bit better. And like I said on the stories, more insight is always welcomed. Avanza says we're way too generous. And Avanza, being from South Africa, would have an insight of people coming in from other countries. I don't know what it's like out in South Africa. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be as generous.
But
as here.
You have to also look at what society do we want to be living in. it might be a soft touch compared to South Africa, but do you want to be more hardline? Do you want to be make it impossible to come here? Do you want only
I don't want to
people?
make it impossible to
Do you
come here,
want
but
only
I
people
want it to
that
be
come with
fair to come
money?
here.
Do you want people with money? The
No,
only ones
well,
that
not
come here.
of course not. You're never going to get that. I mean, there was a lot of people that went to America from Ireland and England and Australia with no money,
Nothing.
and even in recent generations, and made a great life for themselves. Of course not. I'm not stupid.
Obviously,
I'm
yeah.
not. I don't think like that's not going to happen ever. Kieran makes a good point there. The veil of society is big. Yeah. The veil of society is based on rules. We accept the rules or not. Example: get on a plane and don't have a passport. I'd be sent home.
True.
Exactly.
But like what the passport thing with some immigration issues is that if they don't have a passport and they're at a port of entry, like they're trying to flee some sort of economic issues, or they might genuinely be in a place where they're in a distressed state, where they might be coming from a country at war, and they're very complex issues. Like let's not they might this idea that they're coming for an easy life.
I'll tell you something now, and this is going to be you're on about people coming from war torn countries, and of course everyone has to do their bit, and I do think Ireland has done above and beyond its bit. And
I do again.
I don't know how you can argue with that one, Chris. But anyway, but apart from that, people that are coming into this country from a war torn country people were kicking up a fuss that they were being that they were put into like hotels or camps in short term. I don't see anything wrong with that. If for a short term, that you're coming into a country that has a massive homelessness problem to start, or a housing crisis to start off with, what was happening was that Irish people were getting put aside to let these people in, and they were getting put into camps and hotels instead.
Yeah,
which I think is wrong.
But the idea that they're getting preference over Irish people, I don't know if like Irish. There's
if
more.
I was in a war-torn country, sorry, I just finished my point. If I was in a war-torn country and it was so horrific, I would be glad to take up a hotel room anywhere.
I've no doubt. You at the end of the day, you just want yourself and your kids to be safe or whatever.
Yeah, of course.
But like Ireland has, last week, the day of the riots, it was announced that Ireland has more homeless people than ever before.
Yeah.
So this is not this is not an immigration problem. It's a failure of government.
Yeah. Well,
it's simple as that.
The immigration problem is adding to that problem.
Of course, to be bringing in more immigrants and taking in more immigrants is adding to a problem. But like the government is putting the profit of housing above producing housing. 100%.
I know they need to build more houses.
Yeah.
It's so there's so much red tape in this country as well, and that's getting on to a different matter altogether. Right. Well, let's get on to the writers, because we're here.
Yeah.
We have a lot of messages coming through, and I have one eye on them as well. The writers they were just looking for an excuse,
of course,
looking for a reason
whipped
to
up
cause
into a frenzy,
havoc, and whipped up into a frenzy by themselves. I'm sure it was like just some of them, I'd say, were just waiting for this. There was mentions of Antifa. I don't believe that. I don't know.
But that wouldn't make sense, because you can't having like Antifa are a very left wing group, and they're clearly their songs are about anti-fascism. So whipping up a frenzy about immigrants out doesn't go with their trope. It has to be a far right incited riot. It's what it is. Like, and anyone that's arguing against that, yeah, they were easily incited by look, there's young lads that were fucking just milling around.
Yeah.
And they were coming in from
like none of them that were rioting the last night were there because they love their country.
Yeah, well, obviously
they weren't doing it for the sake of Ireland.
Clearly,
I think we can both agree on that.
like
Mara says, dole for 6 months, get a job, or free tickets home.
if you can think that that works, fair enough. I don't know how you can police that. Like,
I thought they were supposed to be fleeing war. That was my point about, if you got any sort of accommodation at all or a safe haven, you would be happy. I know I would
yeah,
be.
yeah. Look, I'm not disagreeing with that as well. I'm not some bleeding heart. That's not practical. Like,
King, what's that? I've come on here to get some guidance. I'm coming over in August to travel the Wild Atlantic Way. Beautiful part of the country. Stay Waterville, then up to Terry Glass. I don't really know where Terry Glass is. Where's the best place for some creamy pints? Well, any place in Ireland is good for creamy pints,
yeah,
especially along the west coast. The best pints in the world are obviously in Ireland. And anywhere along the west coast of Ireland is very, very quiet and very tranquil, and you will have an absolute blast. And that's not to say that Dublin isn't a great place either. Dublin is a fantastic place. It's just sometimes it has these flash pans, which are very rare. Can you give us a basic overview of what you think Ireland should do? Question is for Chris.
Like, it's so complex. There's so many layers, and yeah, I believe that there should be more rigorous testing of people coming in to background check people coming into the country.
That was my point.
I agree with that. I don't believe that you can create a system of, if your employment history doesn't dictate that, that should have no. It should be. I think we should be more willing to take refugees, but we have to put more money into the infrastructure around it.
Well, of course. I mean, if we had the infrastructure and there was a lot less homeless, of course we'll take in the
like
refugees
our problem.
If we can,
our
but
problem,
the thing is, we can't at the
Our
minute.
problem in Ireland is more akin to that we don't tax effectively very rich institutions that are here in Ireland.
Absolutely
ridiculous. We don't produce enough housing which creates employment. Stuff like that are fundamental to this society growing.
And we don't have enough. There should be a lot more jobs throughout the country, higher skill jobs.
I was in Belgium a couple of weeks ago, and my brother he's over there.
Did you need a passport to get in?
I did. But did you?
Sorry.
but like passport system works. Like we have.
I just realized I'm chewing on your.
I'm in France this weekend. I was in Belgium a couple of weeks ago. I was in Spain the week before that. You can't have it both ways. You can't have what I have in going to all these different countries if you can have the same system going to Ireland as well. Like, what our immigration problem isn't the passport, isn't people throwing away their passport. Most people are throwing away their passports.
They don't even need their passports.
But because they're seeking asylum. They're fleeing.
And of course, there's genuine cases that are seeking asylum.
So
but then there's other.
You can't decide at the border what's genuine or not. They do try, but it doesn't.
Don't really think they do. Not enough, anyway.
Like the assessment they can only seek asylum when they get to a country. That's the rules on some. You have to have feet on land.
These are refugees. These are like the Ukrainians. But my point is, the Ukrainians that are coming in aren't really, like, most of them are probably Ukrainians, but there's a lot of the filtering in that aren't Ukrainians that just somehow getting in through the system.
Yeah,
because there's no checks for the Ukrainians.
I don't know how that works either. But like I can't talk to you about that because
Kieran makes a great point there. I used to live in Libya, had to flee when the Americans started bombing, so technically I'm a refugee, but my parents only went there because they were setting up hospitals. Legitimate migrants help, not take. That's my point.
Well, yeah, that's fine.
And of course, you're always going to get people that are seeking help that genuinely can't work, or they're not skilled, or maybe for various reasons. And obviously, we have to do our bit there as well. But
Kieran Staunton makes a very succinct point. Ireland had a population of 8 million in 1841. Now you add the north and south, and you get 6.5 million. Ireland is not full. That is fact.
Well, where would you like to house them, Kieran?
But like Ireland is not full. We have like
Our
I
houses, our houses
let
full.
me just tell
Our
no,
houses are full
listen.
of what we can actually live.
No, no.
What's living?
Let me say what I was going to say when I was in Brussels. I was in Leuven where my brother was working, and I was hanging out in his apartment, and he had this like 6-story apartment out in the middle of Leuven, beautiful spot. It's amazing, actually. It's really cool town.
I've been in it.
Yeah, but like when you look out his window into the square, you see every window is an apartment in the square. So above the shop fronts, literally layers and layers and layers of apartments.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what that does is adds a bit of energy to the city center. People are dotted around, they're living in the city center, and it breathes a bit of life to it. You look in Dublin City, Galway, Swinford here, you look out the window and you look across the road, top of all the shop fronts is just decaying old buildings.
Yes, I know that, Chris. So what I'm saying is
we have space.
We have space, but I mean livable accommodation. We don't have it.
No, yeah, but I'm saying we have the space, and why is
when you say when and I'm getting back to Kieran's point here, and I don't want to be picking on anyone or arguing with anyone. When I say that Ireland is full, the housing system, people, there isn't a house to be got in the entire country.
I understand.
There are lots of houses, and there are if we had 1 million houses to spare, well, then by all means, if let in all the genuine cases, 100%. That is not my point. My point is we do not have the housing system to accept the amount of people that are coming into the country.
But
and it's causing, and then in saying that, it is causing other problems. Then there's then there is a like there is a no tolerance then for people that are causing the trouble, and they mightn't even be causing it, but their perception is that they are, and then it's oh my god, I'm trying to look for a word, and it's not coming into my head. But anyway, that is my point. We do not have the housing system for what's coming. We don't even have a housing system for our own.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is what they've done over the years is they've produced the housing on top of, they've redeveloped their cities, like Brussels and Leuven,
and we can't seem to do that.
They were absolutely flattened during the World Wars.
Yeah,
so they've when they were rebuilt with living in mind. Ireland hasn't got that infrastructure, and they definitely don't have it. So if you look at a town like Swinford, and you're saying it's really quiet, because it's a rural town and everyone lives outside the town. And when
you're right about one thing that I know for a fact, that you can, but we can even look out the window.
That's what I'm saying. And
there's about, I would say,
it was like
1,000 rooms in the entire
100%
in the entire town. It's not a big town that are not used.
Yeah, 100%. And I had a light bulb moment in Leuven when I looked out the window and you could just see people living in their homes.
Yeah,
and I'm like, how many towns in Ireland do we have that? How could this be
That's my
fixed?
point, and we're coming to an agreement on that. That's not that. When I say Ireland is full, it's at capacity when it comes to the houses. So then when people are put into hotels and camps and everything like that, well, then that causes more trouble.
Yeah,
and then there's a perception that, we can't let the people that are coming into the country do it. So then the Irish gets sent to these places, and I know it's a catch-22.
I just want to go to Morris's point. Calling people far right is weak and cheap discreditment of people who are rightly concerned and question authorities in Ireland. Honestly. I don't believe that.
I do.
Well, I don't think it's weak, and I call it how it is, because at the end of the day, those riots were incited by far right tribes.
Yeah, the riots were, but I think Morris is talking about people that are just trying to, like myself. I was
no, but
would you call me far right?
No.
Well, there you go. But people like me.
I wouldn't call Morris far right either.
No, but he's concerned like Irish person, and I know that he's the heart of a small
I know Morris is a legend, but like what I'm saying is, like anyone could be called anything online. This is not what we're talking about. Yeah. What I'm saying is that the incitement of those riots came from what online activists on the right hand side of the spectrum.
Again, as the immigrants that have caused trouble, or the events that happened, there's also going to be far right people that are going to have their agendas
They're
as
going to
well.
use that. They're using that
exactly. Well,
to their own ends.
100%.
And that part is like, it's just that is a problem.
That is a problem.
It's a growing problem.
And maybe not they're all Irish either. There could be, I don't know what
British.
the thing is. There could be some British.
A lot. Like, you look at the Tommy Robinsons coming to Ireland last year.
Someone
and
actually made a funny thing that is one colleague in the Irish Tommy Robbins.
Yeah, I saw that.
No, he's not.
No, we can just
certainly
say
not. Couldn't give a monkey's.
Yeah, you wouldn't get out of the bed for Tommy Robinson because Tommy Robinson's in the bed, eh? These are coming in thick and fast.
Yeah, a lot of messages. Sorry for missing some of them.
Yeah, look, guys, like.
But anyway, getting back to the rioters, I genuinely don't think
if that was your son or daughter that went down O'Connell Street, and came back with a load of shoes, how embarrassed
I will. I'd bring them straight in again. Straight in. Straight
into the guards.
Yeah.
It's disgusting what they did.
Yeah.
The real idea that, yes, women and children were scared because of that, because of the stabbing, and no doubt about it. But the real fear was from those rioters. Like, it was genuinely upsetting. Like, it was so poor.
Yeah. There's other ways and means of sorting this, writing, and for the sake of writing.
Yeah, like I'd like, they were going, like, at the end of the day, there will be a certain, like, I actually saw Dara Kern's post, and that was quite succinct about how when he was a young lad going up and causing a bit of mischief and running away from the guards, it was all thrill of the chase, and he can imagine being pulled into a situation where he goes downtown for a look because all the rest of the lads are going down, and it all devolves, you know, like. But you look at it, and it was genuinely upsetting to see Lewis is burnt out, buses burnt out, and like
as bad as there.
And then
some lad actually stole a bus and drove it down.
That was pretty funny.
One of the streets. No, that was pretty funny. Dangerous.
Like, the fact that he stole the 13 to Tala. So told me that he had to get home to do something. Like,
King Asp, Terry Glasses in North Tip. Oh, that's why I don't know. Nothing wrong with Tipperary. Top of Lochderg. There's so many Lochdergs in the country. I said there's one in every county.
The only top of the tip he knows is
God's own country. Another name that is put on so many areas, like Lewisburg, God's pocket, God's own country. Donegal people will argue with you there. My favorite Irish whiskey is Three Swallows Powers. What's your tipple? Well, I had the creamy pints, and I tell you what my favorite whiskey is. You're not going to believe this, or you might. I don't know why you would not believe it. My favorite whiskey is Kilbeggan whiskey, and then there's a whiskey from a Scotch island called Lefreg, and it's beautiful.
That's really good. Yeah.
Beautiful. It's very peaty. My god, and I like
that is a good whiskey.
Yeah, very good. Kilbeggan is good too. It's smoother though. They're two opposites. They're two opposites of the same.
I like a good green spot or yellow spot.
Yeah. No, the nice stuff. The expensive stuff.
I'm an expensive kind of guy.
You've got expensive taste. And South Africa held accountability for not checking the validating my travel plans. Why has accountability changed? That's from Evanza. Well, that's a very good question. There was another message there. Morris, there was a lot of integrated young black Irish men in the riots. Do not forget, plenty of footage.
Yeah, but again, like a lot of those live in those communities.
Yeah,
like the majority of that immigration has gone into these communities, which has exacerbated situations, changed the dynamics of those communities, and it was a mess out there.
It was a complete mess.
But at the same
time, one of the things that
Like the guards had to deal with an awful lot. Like
they did, and I know that like a lot of people put up, no more than Conor McGregor, he put up a picture of the rioters, and of course he chose 2 pictures of 2 black lads, or colored people.
Like if let's be honest,
which he shouldn't have done. He should have,
Do you think that he just posted that up, or do you think that he was trying to make send a message?
I know he was.
He was sending a message.
Yeah.
So he,
and I thought that was wrong, but he again at the spur of the moment, I don't know what he just be thinking sometimes. I thought swearing. This is from Kieran. I thought swearing loses an argument.
Nah.
Ego not starting fire loses the point of protest. I don't get that sentence. Should never have happened, but we were there. Any agent provocateurs, it's not beyond the realm. They quite possibly could be in this day and age. When did we swear?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Did we swear?
Maybe we were swearing, but like that's just my natural dialect anyway. So,
mine too.
So I wouldn't apologize for swearing.
If you've ever seen any of my videos, I don't think I've done a video without a swear in it. The ones actually, I've done a few actually that no swearing, so I'm proud of myself for them.
Get your hawk control and get back outside on the hustle building company.
Yeah. Well,
days of the trowel.
The days of the trowel are gone. Although I did enjoy it. I tell you what was the hardest part, Lar, was fucking getting money.
Yeah,
working for months and then like finding it. The hardest job was getting money.
Getting money in every job is hard.
It's well, that is true. No, you know what? There was some very genuine
gigs can be hard.
Gigs can be hard, and like it was never hard up until this year.
Yeah,
we've hit 3 or 4 places that are finding it very hard to get paid for. But anyway, that needs to be sorted out before Christmas.
Like the aftermath of the riots, and like obviously when your reflection, and we were chatting about it, like, look, I don't have a problem with what anyone says. This is the whole point about free speech.
Yeah, exactly, and a platform.
And we can discuss these things and have opposing views or whatever, and whether we agree with each other or not doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it's about having
and come to an understanding.
Yeah, and I'll listen to you and you listen to me, and you might be happy with everything I say, and that's okay. That's what being in having proper conversations is all about. But there is a problem in society when you look at social media.
Yeah.
That people get into echo chambers.
Yeah.
People will only listen to the views they like. People will follow.
That's another point. You have to have a debate. If you don't like something, you have to be willing as well to discuss it.
And also be able to listen.
And not to be afraid to say, but you know what? I was wrong there.
Because I like, and Marcel will tell you, I'm always willing to listen and disagree. And if you want to be right or wrong, that's no problem. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never going to get so staunch in my opinion. And maybe I have at times on certain things, but I would never be like try and stifle debate. That's not me at all.
Yeah.
I do. And having differing opinions is healthy. We're supposed to be able to respect each other's opinions. We're supposed to understand that, you're coming out through a different lens. You weren't in Dublin. I was in Dublin. So it was a weird dichotomy of, well, this is a bit of crack, isn't it? Like, and looking at the TV and watching the fucking city you're in burn.
Again, it was also the commentary on it as well was insightful too, and obviously comments.
And when you were only watching it here,
we could be here, 100%. We could be here all night, and I've just realized that I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
And we didn't even get to the KTH fight. We might even pick up.
We'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll do it tomorrow. Or we might even do it in later on tonight, or is it too late?
I've got some work to do.
Okay, I'll tell you what.
This is the problem being self-employed, guys. Sometimes you have to burn it out.
We could go on here for another hour and a half. We've been already on an hour and a half. Thank you so much for everyone for tuning in. Kieran says, he said something nice there. Thanks for bringing it up on your platform. 100%. And I have a funny feeling that this isn't going to go away any
no, and it's like having these in-depth conversations. That's what this platform is going to be. It will be good crack sometimes. Like, I really appreciate everyone jumping in the comments. It's been amazing. I hope that you really enjoy it, guys. Yeah, and we'll finish.
We will chat again, and it has been very enjoyable in a weird sort of way. Last thing I want to say is I hope that everyone affected by the events last Thursday, the kids, the adults, the guards, anyone that was involved, anyone that was affected by the rioters.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there was a lot of them rioters that were there because it was mob mentality, and they look back on it and think, what the fuck was I at? Well done, lads. Brave chats. Thanks very much, Morris,
Cheers,
and for your contribution as well. And that is that one wrapped up. Until the next time we chat, which will be tomorrow, stay safe, stay healthy.
Stay away from yourself.
Good luck.